Good evening, students. We'll wait for 2 minutes. People are joining. Just 2 minutes. We'll continue with our topic. We were doing flower and we had started with pollination. I had explained you what is self-pollination. And today we'll do what is cross-pollination. Okay. 5:30 you will be having your test, transport and plants. I hope you are prepared. I had sent in group that you have to study the diagrams also, labeling of the diagrams. Okay. I will ask at least 1 or 2 diagrams. I'll give you the diagrams and I'll number them as 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to write those labelings. Just take a look at what we had studied in the previous class. Just take a look at the diagram of flower. Okay. Let's start. Almost everyone is here now. So let's take a quick revision of okay. So I'm getting some messages. I have started recording. Yes, I have started recording because I have to store this lecture. Which diagrams? All the diagrams. All the diagrams. Study the labeling for all the diagrams. Okay, Shrey, you have a doubt. I'll take the doubt in the end of the lecture. Yes, I will give you the diagram. You have to only write the labeling. You don't have to redraw the diagram in the test. Okay, you just have to mention one. This is the name of the part. Two, that is the name of the part. Like that. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's start. See, this was the diagram, the flower diagram which we studied, and we studied different parts of this. So the first part which we studied was the thalamus. Here it was the stalk, and above the stalk, this part was thalamus. And then you studied sepal. These they are green in color. The sepal, they support the flower. This entire flower is supported by sepals. Then the petals, they are the attractive part of the flower. Attractive part means they help in bringing the insects. They are colorful, they are attractive, they have fragrance. So they bring insects near to them because of these petals. Then we had very important part. You have, this was the anther. See, I hope you remember properly. This was the anther. See, this part was anther. And the inside the anther, you had pollen sacs. Okay, inside which you have pollen grains. Okay, pollens are there, which are nothing but the male gametes. Okay, these pollens were important, and this was the filament. Here, this part which we studied was the filament. Just a second. Next was the filament. This part is filament. Then this together, anther and filament, is together called as the stamen. Stamen means the male part of the flower. Okay, and here these three parts, the stigma, style, and ovary. This, the landing part where the pollen grains will land, is called as the stigma. Then this tube-like structure is called as style. And here you have the ovary, inside which you have ovules. And these ovules contain eggs. The eggs which will combine with the pollen grains to form a zygote. We will see how a zygote is formed today. Then these three together are also called as pistil. The female gamete is also called as pistil. Okay. And inside this, as I told you, there is egg. There is egg inside this. Okay. Let's see the textbook once again. Achha, before that, let's revise what is self-pollination once again. So see, I have this diagram here to show you. So see the diagram here. In first this part of the diagram, here you see that how this pollen from the same flower is getting inside the stigma. Okay, this is one flower. In this same flower, pollination is happening, where from the anther, pollen is coming and is getting entered in the stigma. This is self-pollination, which happens within one flower. Okay, and in the same plant, see this two. This is the same plant, one plant. In this plant, in this plant, this is one flower and this is another flower. Between these two flowers, pollination is happening between these two flowers, but they are of the same plant. So this is also called as self-pollination. Okay, so self-pollination are of two types: when there is one single flower, and second, when there are two flowers but they are on the same plant. So this is also called as self-pollination. Now today we'll study what is cross-pollination. Okay, cross-pollination means two separate plants. Okay, plant 1 and plant 2, and the pollination is happening between the flowers of these two plants. Okay, they are two separate plants. So let's read. Okay, so in cross-pollination, first of all, just a second, I'll just erase the screen. Yes, so the cross-pollination, the screen is not visible. Is anyone able to see the screen? Okay. It is a little dark. Wait, I'll see what is the issue. Okay, few are able to see and few are not able to see it. So I'm on page number 22 and I'm reading the cross-pollination part. So cross-pollination occurs between two flowers on different plants of the same species. See, for pollination to occur, plants has to be of same species. If the plants are of two different species, pollination will not happen. Okay, then there is something called as hybrid plants. That is a different concept. Here we have they have to be of same species. Then agents of cross pollination. See, cross pollination means the pollination which is happening from one flower of one plant to another flower of the second plant. So who will take those pollens from there to the second plant? Who will carry those pollens? So those are called as the agents of cross pollination. Who will carry those pollens? So agents of cross pollination, there are three agents we will study of cross pollination. First one is the insects. Okay, so keep the textbook also in front of you. If sometimes the screen goes blank, you can scan the textbook. The insects, first are the insects. Now what the insects do, in the diagram you can see this red color is the flower. Okay, the insects will go and sit on the flower, and when they sit on this flower, they will sit on the anther specifically. Okay, because anther has pollen. So they will sit on the anther. These pollens will get stick on their legs or on their body. Okay, and when they go to another flower, and there they will sit on the stigma. You understand? The stigma means the landing area of the flower, and there it will drop the pollens, because of which fertilization will occur. Okay, let me show you one video. See, the video may not play smoothly, but you just understand the pictures here. It will not play smoothly, but see the graphics, you will understand. See, these are the anthers, and on the anthers, these brown dots which you see are the pollens. And now you see this insect is sitting on the anther. Okay. This insect sits on the anther. And when the insect sits on the anther, if you see his leg, if you're able to see his legs, some pollens got stick on his legs and on his body. Okay. And now, when this insects will go to some other flower. Now, why this insect come here? Because flowers have nectar in them. Okay, nectar is a sweet liquid which insects want. Like when we see how honey is formed. How is honey? The honeybees go to different flowers. They suck the nectar from there, and honey is formed. So this is how these insects will come to the flower, and they will suck this nectar. Or they may come because of the bright colors, or because of the fragrance of the flowers. Okay, so now the insect will move and go to some other flower. Okay, so see, now this insect is going to the other flower, and it sits on the stigma of other flower. See, this is the stigma of other flower. Okay, and the insect went and sat there, and on his legs there are pollens stuck. Okay, these pollens may also get wasted, like they may fall here and there while it is flying from one place to another. That wastage happens. Okay, see, if 500 pollens are released, out of which even if one reaches its place, fertilization will happen. Okay, so this pollens now will fall from the insect on the stigma, on this landing surface. Okay, and then pollination will occur. See here. This is how insect pollination occurs. The same goes with wind pollination, where because of the winds, the pollens may transfer from one flower to another. Okay, so let's read the insect pollination paragraph. When insects help in the pollination, such a transfer of pollen grains is called as insect pollination. When insects help in pollination, then butterflies, bees, and other insects visits the flower for nectar, okay, as honey. And when an insect alights on the flower, alights means he lands on the flower, the pollen grains stick to its mouth parts, wings, legs, etc. And when this insect visits another flower, the pollen grains from its body may fall off on the stigma of the other flower. Okay, so what kind of these flower examples are marigold, dahlia, and salvia are some of the insect pollinated flowers. Okay, characteristics that which flowers, what are the special characteristics of the flowers where insect pollination will occur? So these flowers are, they should be large flowers. They should have colored petals to attract the insects. Then they should be scented. Scented means they should emit some fragrance. They should have nectar, because nectar is the food for insects. Okay, and they should produce sticky pollen grains. Sticky pollen grains, because only then they will get stick on the body parts of the insects. So they should have sticky pollen grains. Okay, these are the 4 characteristics of insect pollination. Next is the wind pollination is very easy, where in large quantities pollen grains are emitted. Okay, and because of the wind, they will fall on some other flower. Okay, on the stigma. Now, what happens after the pollen grains fall on the stigma? That we will study in the next topic, fertilization. Okay, before that, we'll see some characteristics of wind pollination. This paragraph is very easy. They are blown away by the wind, and there is a lot of wastage of pollen grains also, but still the production of pollen grains is much higher. Okay, so some wastage is understood. The characteristics of wind pollinated flower. They are usually small and are of dull colors. Now see, the flowers which are large, which are colored, which have fragrance, insects will come to them. Okay, but what about those flowers which are not having colorful petals, who do not have fragrance, which are very dull, which are very small? Pollination will occur there also, but there wind pollination will occur. Okay, where because of the wind, the plants will move. See the second point, they generally have long anthers. Long anthers, so you remember what are anthers? Anthers are these sticks. This is anther. Okay, they have long anthers. Why long anthers? Because anthers are very thin, and because of the wind they will move. These anthers will move because of wind, and they will emit pollen grains. Just a second. Yes. So we were on this point, second point. They generally have long anthers, protruding. Protruding means something which is coming out. Okay, protruding means anthers are coming out of the flowers. Protruding means protruding out of the flower so that the pollen grains may get blown off easily. So they have long anthers so that pollen grains will fall from one flower to another. Third point is they produce large quantity of pollen. They have to produce large quantity of pollen because many pollen will fall here and there because of the wind. Okay, only few will reach the exact location. So they have to produce large quantity of pollen. Fourth point is the pollen grains are light so that they are easily carried away. Correct. See, if the pollen grains are not light, if they are very heavy, then they will immediately fall on the ground. Okay, but these pollen grains are light so that because of the wind, they will grow here and there and they will fall on the stigma. Okay, so these were the four characteristics. Characteristics of each type of pollen grain is important. Okay, characteristics are most important part. And which plants do this? So maize, palm, pine, these are some of the plants which exhibit this characteristic of wind pollination. Okay, the last one is water pollination. Now this is rare compared to wind and plants because this happens only in aquatic plants. Okay, so water pollination, where water acts as an agent of cross pollination. Okay, now how water acts as an agent? First of all, the example is important. There is one important example here, Vallisneria. So mark it very important example of water pollination. Now, how does this occur? See, see the diagram which is there in your textbook. They have shown on the left side there is one female plant, and on the right side you have the male plant. Okay, male plant are usually small in size, and those male plants have pollens in them. They release the pollens. Okay, these male plants will release the pollens, and these pollens will go up here and see they are floating on the plant here. These black dots which you see are nothing but the pollens. These black dots, and these pollens are picked up by this flower here. This flower is the female flower. Okay, this female flower will pick this pollen. ठीक है, वो अपने अंदर इस पोलन को ले लेगा. ठीक है, और इसके अंदर वो चले जाएगा यहाँ से और फिर फर्टिलाइजेशन होगा. Okay, so I'll show you one video also. The video is not very clear, but because this water pollination is very rare, so there is very less content on internet about water pollination. See, they've simply shown here, you can see that this is the female plant here and this is the male plant. These white colored pollens are getting transferred on the water, and this here female plant is catching them. See, these are the pollens coming, and these female plants will cause itself and take the pollen grains. Okay, like it will eat them. This part, like that. This is how water pollination occurs. It occurs in Vallisneria. Okay, and here they have in the green box they have given one exception here on page number 24, that lotus and trappa are aquatic plants, but their flowers are exposed to air, and so they are pollinated by insects. See, lotus, you know, is an aquatic plant, but the flower is on the surface of water, means it is outside water, the lotus. So it can be easily pollinated by insects. Okay, so in spite of being an aquatic plant, they get pollinated by air. Okay, the lotus. So characteristics of water pollinated flowers: the flowers are small and light, so they can easily float on water. Male and female are born on separate plants. They are always on separate plants, and the pollen grains are produced in large numbers. These 3 points are simple. So with this, we complete the types of pollination. Now, let's study fertilization. Before that, just go through the page number 22, 23, and 24 and see if you have any doubt. You can ask me. I'll take a 2-minute break. Any doubts, message me. Take a look on these 3 pages, 22, 23, 24. These are the most important part of this chapter. See, if there's a doubt here that the male and female plants are stuck on the ground, then how the plant can take the pollen? See, the male and female flower, even if, first of all, not all the male and female plants, see, let's see this diagram here. They are stuck on the ground, okay, but they are on the same level. So जो पोलन्स यहाँ से मेल प्लांट से निकलेंगे, वो इन प्लांट्स के आसपास ही घूमते रहेंगे कुछ टाइम तक, ठीक है, इन प्लांट्स के आसपास ही रहेंगे, और यहीं से फिर ये फीमेल फ्लावर्स उसको पिक कर देंगे. ओके, तो ये प्लांट्स कहाँ भी हो, पानी के बहुत नीचे हो, बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर हो, बीच में हो, उससे मैटर नहीं करता, इन प्लांट्स के आसपास इनके पोलन्स घूमते रहेंगे, ठीक है. और मेल और फीमेल प्लांट्स, ये जरूरी है, दे शुड बी क्लोज टू ईच अदर फॉर पोलिनेशन टू हैपन. ओके, and that this diagram, see here, this part of the diagram where it is written floating male flower, female flower, this is not the surface of water. Okay, this picture is underwater picture. Okay, you can see this pollens here. This is not the surface of water. Okay, it is very deep inside. They have just shown you. Okay, this happens underwater. Now, Shrey, yes. What is your doubt, Shrey?
Sir, in water pollination, does the pollen get finished?
Pollen get finished. Which means, see, there is certain time in the day when they release their pollens. Like for example, for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they will keep releasing the pollens in a particular time in the day. Okay, if pollination occurs, good. Then otherwise, they will wait on the next day. Again, they will release the pollens whenever the pollination occurs. Okay, so there is pollens are developed every day. Okay, new pollens are developed every day. So it never happens that pollen grains are finished, exhausted. No, if they get exhausted, new plants will not grow and their species will end. Okay. There is one more doubt. What if there is a height difference? Yes. See, if there is a height difference of the plants, if the male plant has to be little small in height than the female plant. If it is not small in height, then it will be very difficult for the pollination to occur. Okay, so they should be either of equal heights, or a male plant should have a little smaller height in compared to the female plant. Then what is the meaning of protruding? Protruding, I already told, protruding means something which is coming out. ओके जैसे फ्लावर के अंदर से अगर उसका एंथर बाहर आ रहा है, दैट इज कॉल्ड प्रोट्रूडिंग. ओके, कुछ भी चीज का बाहर आना उसका मतलब प्रोट्रूडिंग. देन माय वॉल्यूम इज लो. I'll try to speak louder. What is fusion? Fusion we will understand now. What is fusion? We are going to study fertilization means we'll study about the fusion only. Okay, so see, the meeting is going to end in 5 minutes, so I'm doing one thing. I'm ending the meeting here and I'm join again so that we get half an hour more. I'll finish the fertilization part. 10-15 minutes, it will take 10-15 minutes, and then I'll leave you so that you can study for the test. Okay, so I'm ending the meeting now. Join again immediately. Immediately join again. Okay.